Hi, my name's Claire Maiwald and I work for ToHealth Limited, part of the larger PAM group. Today I'm joined by David Mitchell, who also works for ToHealth Limited, and he will be answering questions on access to work. Hi David.
Hi Claire.
So I suppose first of all, what is access to work?
So Access to Work is a government fund that's available for people who are in workplace who may have a disability or do have a disability, and basically the fund's available through Department of Work and Pension. You apply for it online and it's basically to enable adjustments in work for basically what they call reasonable adjustments to help you with your disability to cope with the stresses and strains of your needs of work basically. So depending on the type of what you're doing would depend on the adjustments that's needed, and the funding is available for that.
Okay. And you spoke about adjustments, you spoke about reasonable adjustments. What are reasonable adjustments?
Reasonable adjustments can be in any form really. Sometimes you don't need access to work to actually get reasonable adjustments. It could just be maybe if you've got attention deficit disorder that you need adjustments around you to take away distractions that might take you away from your work environment. So you could be sat in a room next to a window and distractions happen by that window all the time, and you would naturally look towards what's going outside and your attention would be taken away from your work. So sometimes it's just environment changes. Noise cancelling headsets can help with things like that as well. So there are adjustments without needing the access to work support. Sometimes you might need more additional support, so say if you're dyslexic, you might need specialist software to help you with your literacy. So dyslexic people would struggle with reading and writing, sometimes short-term memory issues. So then software might be involved, different types of literacy support software, speech to text, text to speech. And then off the back of that you would need training on that software. And then additionally you might need coping strategies for your disability, how to handle the anxieties of work pressure, the different kind of tasks you're given, so how to prioritise them over the day, and basically organise yourself. So it might be that you have mind mapping software to help with the organisation of your work. So those kind of adjustments are basically where they start to cost money, and that's where you would then apply for access to work.
Okay, so who then can receive access to work funding?
Okay, so you have to be a resident of the UK. You have to be over 16 years of age. It's changed now, so you can actually be applying for a job and get support. You can basically have got the job. If you apply within the first 6 weeks, it's totally free, everything's funded. After that, the company would start to have to put money towards it, depending on the size of the company. But basically anybody who's in workplace, so you don't need to be a new starter, you could be somebody who's been working there for quite a while, you come to realise you've got a hidden disability and you need support, so you can apply. You can actually apply for an apprenticeship as well, and the new government Kickstarter scheme, so you can apply for that and they'll actually escalate that because of the duration of the scheme.
Okay, that's really interesting. Okay, so if someone were to get funding, what support could they expect to get with that funding?
Okay, so it can vary, so it's not all down to technology. So I've already mentioned things like software, sometimes hardware. So anybody who's hearing impaired may get additional devices to help with that. So say you're answering the telephone all the time, it's going to be difficult with hearing aids, so you then get a loop system to be able to hear the telephone through your hearing aids. So there's loads and loads of different physical things you can get as well as software. It could be that you're physically impaired and you might need ergonomic seating or desking. So there's loads and loads of different assistive technology that's available. And then, like I said, a lot of the time you need training on that, especially if it's like hardware, because people tend to think you only need training for software, but the hardware, how to use it, how to support it if you're having issues with it, if it's ergonomic products, how to set it up and how to best use it. If somebody comes along and changes the seat, it's a bit like when you get in your car and you realise somebody else has been sitting in there, you need to readjust it back. So getting that bit of initial training is quite key. And then off the back of that, there is coping strategies, which I mentioned earlier, which help you with the stresses and strains of your job and your disability, your needs of that. And then additionally, you might get training, which is awareness training for your team that you work with. So say you're dyslexic, it might be an awareness team for the people who are with you on what dyslexia is, how they can help you with your strategies and support. or say if you're autistic and you might have different ways of dealing with today's stresses and that kind of thing, they would know how you would deal with it, where normally they might think, well, he's being a bit ignorant or she's being a bit ignorant, they're not really joining in. They'll get the awareness and learn how to work with you as a team, so quite key. There's also an additional co-coaching strategy as well, which involves a line manager. So where you're having the coaching on how to cope with your disability and your actual work tasks for the day, the line manager gets to learn that and gets to support you within that as well. So it might be giving you notes on what's going to go on in a meeting, and additionally when you come out of the meeting you've been given tasks, he'll not just give them verbally, or he or she would not just give them verbally, but he might also then give them in writing because he knows you need that extra support. So it's those kind of things that would happen in co-coaching.
Okay, and how would the funding be paid?
So the funding is actually, like I said, initially if it's within the first 6 weeks, it's fully funded. The company has to pay for it initially. They claim it back from Department for Work and Pensions through the Access to Work scheme. If it's an ongoing support, so you could actually get taxi support. So if you physically can't get into work or you're visually unable to get your way into work, you can get taxis into work or in between departments, that kind of thing. The company pays up front and then claims it back on an ongoing basis. So it might be where it's a service, it's a one-off payment for the company, or it might be that it's an ongoing thing. Every year you need that extra support. You might need BSL interpreters, or you might need somebody who physically helps you around.
Okay. And I suppose for those people that are struggling in terms of how to actually apply for it, what would people have to do to apply for it?
Okay, so you basically do go on the government website to apply for it, Government Access to Work. The process is quite simple, but for somebody with a disability it can be confusing. It's what information do you put in the form and those kind of things. So at ToHealth we've developed a system where we will support somebody. We do that free of charge, so we will assist them through the process. And basically it's just guiding them through how to actually apply for it, what information to put in, whose address you use, those kind of things. And then basically we'll support that through, we'll ensure and check up on you later on that you've heard back from them. It's the employee who has to apply, not the employer, so it's down to that individual person. But your company will be informed by Access to Work to ensure that you're working there. And then basically then it flows through, so we would ensure with our support that we contact you and make sure things are flowing through for you quite quickly, so you don't have to reapply if you fail.
Yeah. Well, this has been really useful. Thank you for your time, and for anybody who is looking for Access to Work support, please get in touch. We would love to be able to support you.